Buenos noches, tardes, whatever. It's not nighttime. It's buenos dias. Old man glasses, some tools, very tiny instruments. Bonus points if you know what that's from. And I'll see you in just a second. Why don't you guys walk around while somebody plays a mean guitar riff. And we're back. Look at this. Mail stuff. I know what this is. It's from Mutton Hollow Chevys. What am I drinking? Tea. Black tea. English black tea with a little bit of maple in it and oat milk. Alright. See what we got in here. I already told you, I know what it is. So, on the back of my license plate frame, where is that? Come to me. On the back of the trunk where I showed you this thing goes, I said there's some grommets. Grommets. Trunk lid, license plate. There's the button and the grommets, and it goes behind here and sandwiches so I can put my plate on there. Why am I on Mutton Hollow Chevrolets? Mutton Hollow Chevys. Why am I looking forward to doing this? Why am I doing this? Because I'm getting this car ready to drive for work. And I'm going to drive it while I'm fixing it. You guys already saw the fuel line. What's all the rest of this stuff? Good question. It's electrical. Hold, please. Remember I said that I was going to show you how to take an old, junky, cheap harness, the cheapest harness you can get on eBay, and make it work in your hot rod? That's exactly what I'm doing. Wow. This thing is sharp. Okay. I think I put it this way. Let's see what we got here. We got some... So what do I got? I got relay sockets, 3 of them. Bag of relays. Incidentally, I ordered relay sockets with connectors in there so I can make them unterminated or unended. They didn't show up and I got refunded. So whoever that company is in China or whoever makes them, they didn't send them to me, so eBay refunded them. So I had to go to my local parts store, my local parts girl, who's really good at what she does, and she had these on the shelf. Incidentally, the Napa Auto Parts people, this kind of stuff, relays and pigtails and stuff like this, is kryptonite to them. I literally spent 45 minutes in the Napa Auto Parts store in Lahaina explaining to the guy who's the manager and some other people what a relay is and what I was using it for. And they wanted to know what vehicle. And I was like, it doesn't matter. I was actually using it to do a fuel pump relay for an LS motor in a 70 Blazer that a guy did. It came from New York over here and he's got his trucking, so I worked on that, and I was gonna wiring a secondary relay because the small relays I didn't think was carrying enough amperage, so I was being prepared. So getting a pigtail and this was impossible. I went to my other parts store, which I should have gone to in the first place, was on the other side of the island, and they had them hanging on the shelf with all their stuff. Like, I don't know, here's a factory GM alternator plug, same thing, and a headlight sockets. So, I don't want to get into the incompetence of some of the parts people, but I've said this before. Some of those parts places, some of the people, their first job, their choice is either fast food or auto parts store. And I don't understand it. Just because they have a toolbox, a small craftsman toolbox with some tools, and they like cars, they should at least be interested in their job. I know Napa Todd isn't that way, although Tom gives you a hard time, buddy, but I know you're not. Okay, so this is I hate that. Okay. Tom hates flexi hoses. I hate this corrugated crap. This corrugated wire loom, no. Never, ever, 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 ever use this stuff. Ever. In fact, it's going right here in the trash. Butt connectors, and this is probably a fusible link. It is, good. Okay, so they actually made a fusible link. I'm going to tell you what these are. A fusible link is what you hook in between your main power and whatever your main load is on your car. Most factory GM cars used to have these, and this blows. The sleeve is actually made of it's called Hypalon, which Hypalon, so like Coke or Pepsi, Hypalon or the other company name. Basically, it's a sleeve that won't melt. You can actually light this on fire. Here, I'll show you. Here's a lighter right here. You can light this on fire and it won't melt. See that? Just turns into dust. Doesn't do anything. I'm a liar. This is not Hypalon. You can tell the sleeve. It's either shine. This isn't Hypalon. I've got some somewhere. Hold, please. This is the cheap stuff. Where is my good stuff? Hypalon. Here we go. Nope, that's not it either. I must have got rid of it all. Anyway, you can tell the good wiring harness from the bad wiring harnesses. If the insulation around the wire is like reflects light, if it's shiny, that stuff will melt. Let's try this again. If it's not, you can sit here and hold a torch to it and it won't do anything. But look at this. This stuff is actually melting. So this is a fusible link, but it's not very good stuff. The other stuff you can run like American Auto Wire or Painless or Enos or Ron Francis or the big ones. Those guys, and that's the reason why you pay for it, is because the insulation around the wire is it's really good. So like say you're building this 55 Chevy and you buy an American Auto Wire factory fit kit. That comes with a key, headlight switch, all the sockets for everything to fit these cars. That wire that runs down that loom that you run down your car, if you short one end of it, it will not burn and melt into the other wires. It just won't do it. It'll burn, it'll separate inside itself, inside the insulation, but it'll never escape or smoke out or whatever. And you can actually take it. You can take that stuff and go to a battery, both posts, and it'll sit there and whistle and pop. But I mean, it's carrying some crazy amperage. All the amperage your battery can carry through that tiny little wire, it'll do it till it actually blows the copper. And then it'll actually poke out. But if you're melting something, like say you short a circuit and it doesn't blow a fuse, you have a circuit breaker, it just will, it's made to not, your car won't burn down if you use the good stuff. This cheap stuff, these cheap harnesses, they will burn down. So I'm going to show you how to do it safely and you can use these cheap harnesses and keep your car safe. The trick is, fuse is number one in every circuit and or relay. And most relays, just like these are 30 to 40 amp. They're not intended to be a circuit breaker or a circuit protection device. They're intended to carry the load as like a helper. That's what a relay does. So a relay basically is a small low current switch which trips. I'll show you the diagram on the side. It trips it, and they're almost all labeled the same: 30, 87, 86, 85, and 87A. 87A and 30 are always connected until it's switched, and then these are connected. Then these become connected, and these are the switching coils. So basically, one is ground and one is keyed switch, and then this would come from your battery directly, a fused circuit battery, and these two carry the most current. These are like a couple milliamps, like 200 milliamps or less, is what trips these, and these can carry 30 to 40 amps. So that's what you do. Instead of running like through the factory ignition switch on this car that has one ignition post for the coil and all that, those contacts in your switch, you don't want it carrying all the current for the electric fans, for your coil, for your electric fuel pump, your radio, anything else that's kicked on, that's keyed on power, your turn signal flasher and all that stuff. I'm going to save my stock ignition switch by doing a 30 or 40 amp ignition circuit. So my switch is just actually going to switch this and make everything carried through here. It does one of two things. One, it keeps the voltage draw down from running through a bunch of wires through one small contact. The other thing it does is it provides battery voltage instead of having to go through the whole circuit to get to your, through the switch from the battery and everything to get to your device. It goes directly from the battery and it goes straighter across. That's what these are for. And so that's what we're going to use. I have 5, I'm only going to use 3. One is going to be ignition. One is going to be a start relay, which I'm going to use to trip the ignition relay when the key goes in the start position, because I've said this before, prior to 1965, it might even be 68. When do they go to key column? 68? 68? 68, I think it's 68 it went key on the column. When the ignition switch went to the key on the column, it might have been 66. The GM ignition switch does not power the coil in the start position. It used the secondary wire off of your old start solenoid on your starter to run up to the ballast resistor, because basically it used the start solenoid as a relay, and that's what the 4th post did, is it powered your coil. So when it was cranking, it took battery voltage across that current. Instead of having to go through your whole circuit, it went straight across and right to your coil. And then when you backed off the key, the contacts made contact in the switch and it went on. So I'm essentially doing that. Since this starter does not have the 4th terminal, I'm using a mini starter on this. I'm going to create essentially a start relay for that to fire the ignition coil when it's in the starting position. When I go back off the crank position, this relay will open and it'll just continue this one on as it normally is. So it looks like we have a choice, kids. Here's your choice. Choice number 1. Do I put this harness in and do I wire the entire car first before I try and start this? Or do I get it to where it'll start, fire it, and then drive it around? That's your choice. So tell me what you want me to do and we'll do it. Because, you know, I mean, the world revolves around me and I'm pretty great and awesome and all that stuff, but, you know, just this one time, I'll look to you guys to direct what we're doing with old Flopsy Mopsy here or whatever. You too, Dan. You can weigh in on this one too. Yeah, I'll actually take your comment into advisement. I mean, I don't know if I'll really pay attention, but I'll tell you which one I'm leaning. No, I won't tell you. Anyway, you guys tell me what I should do, and I'll see you on the next one.